time. The goal for today is we really want to go through uh, a holistic plan for your internet marketing in 2025 for tree service businesses and what needs to really take place in order to grow, scale, and make sure that we have enough leads coming in to support the business and to grow the business. If you're at a computer, could you pop open the chat? Not if you're driving, but if you're, can you pop open the chat and just let me know that you can see the PowerPoint that I'm trying to share? I just want to make sure that before we spend the next hour together, that you all can actually see what I'm trying to show you. Let's see here. Somebody give me a confirmation or come off of mute and say that you can see it. Cool. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right in. To plan for this session, we want to set goals and targets for the year. So I want you to be thinking about where your business is at right now and where you would like it to be within the next, call it 11 months, because we're already in February. Our goal is to realign the key performance indicators and figure out to make sure that we're tracking the right key performance indicators to achieve the outcomes that we're looking for to hit those goals and targets. We want to also create a plan. We want to map out that plan and we want to execute on that plan in order to hit those goals and targets. And part of that plan is going to include things like what kind of a budget do you need? What are the different channels of communication, different advertising channels that you really should be investing in? What is working and what's not working? And I'm going to give you my opinion based on the things that we're seeing in the industry. We're going to look at some different important trends. And basically, we want to set you up for massive success in 2025 and beyond because hopefully there's some value with some of the thought processes that we're going to cover today that you will be able to repeat going into 2026 and month over month just to make sure that you are staying on track with business growth. So, who am I and why should you care what I have to say? So, I am the co-founder of Arborist Marketing Pros. We are a marketing agency that specializes in search engine optimization, web design, pay-per-click advertising, social media management, and more. I'm also the host of the Branching Out podcast, which we provide marketing tips for tree service pros. We often have guest speakers come on that are other experts in the industry that have built successful businesses. And so if you're interested in being a guest on that podcast, we'd love to have you. Just type me into the chat and we'll follow up there. I'm an advocate for constantly learning and improving. So I really do. I live and breathe marketing. It's my passion. I like to see where consumer attention is going, and I really like to win for our clients. And so that keeps us close to the ground and keeps our pulse on what's going on in the industry. And then I have, over 10 years of experience in the marketing industry. So I've got demonstrated success with helping not only tree care businesses, but most recently, that's what we focus on is tree care businesses. I've got some friends that own some tree care companies, and everybody that I meet in the industry is enjoyable. So they're my people. They speak my language. So that's how we ended up in the tree business. So that said, these are some of the people that we work with that are tree service owners that are seeing growth in their businesses. They are doing the things that it takes to actually hit these targets. They're setting clear objectives and they're winning with Arborist Marketing Pros. So, what we do, like I said, we mentioned we do everything from local SEO, Google Maps SEO, pay-per-click management, web design, social media marketing, and link building, which is off-page SEO. We're going to get into some of those things on what you should be doing for your business. All of these things, we don't hold the magic bullet on getting these things accomplished. Every business owner can do these things. The reason that you would hire an agency such as ours to do it is you're at that scale where you don't have the time, or some of it's just too technically complex, and that's where we come into play. But what we're going to cover on this call, this meeting, is how you can do some of these things yourself and how you can prioritize what is most important. Because as you know, being a business owner, it's really easy to get lost in the myriad of different things out there, like should I be investing in Google ads? And then you get phone calls from spammers saying you need to invest in Google voice search. And everybody wants to, it seems like everybody wants to take business owners' money from an advertising perspective. And so our job is to make sure that we are spending the money in the most appropriate ways. So that's sort of the introduction to what we're going to cover in the session. Again, I'll call out if you do have any questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat. We've got a small enough group here today live that we can answer some questions and do some Q&A at the end, which is exciting. Sometimes we don't have that opportunity. So some of the things that we are noticing, the biggest trends in the industry right now is there's obviously a growing popularity of AI. Chat GPT is completely revolutionizing a lot of different aspects of what we do here. Um, you might think of, okay, well, I'm not particularly using ChatGPT to write copy, or I'm not particularly using it to send emails. But the fact of the matter is that there are people that are using it. There's been this trend in the industry. When I say industry, I mean the marketing industry over the past really year, where you'll be on social media and you'll be scrolling and you'll see some advertiser saying something crazy like SEO is dead, right? Like search engine optimization is dead. You don't need to worry about that anymore. Well, the fact of the matter is, as more and more people are moving into AI searching, I'm one of them. If I pop open ChatGPT on my mobile app and I ask a question, SEO is one of the key components that is driving the results that you're going to get from AI. I mean, if you think about it, all that artificial intelligence does is scour the internet to figure out what is the most common instance of this particular piece of information coming up. And so if your business is being mentioned in 6 or 7 different places, but your competitors is only being mentioned on their website, AI is more likely going to recommend your business because it can validate that you are more relevant. There's also things that come into play there with the traditional SEO, such as Google reviews, how many links are pointing to your site. All of those different things are going to be factored in when you're thinking about how AI search is going to evolve. Um, the other big trend that we're seeing is I would kind of lump the next couple few into one, which is a more consumer-centric scheduling and communication modality. And what I mean with those fancy set of words is that we have a tendency, and it's not a good tendency, it's a bad tendency. We have a bad tendency to expect customers to call our phone. We expect it. In fact, all of our advertising says to do that. It says, if you have a question, if you want to schedule, if you need an appointment, call us, call this number, right? Because we're out in the field. Best case scenario, we've got somebody that is running leads, doing dispatch, and they're actually the ones that we want to receive the call. The fact of the matter is, we live in 2025. I can get a taco to get a private taxi from Taco Bell to my house without ever having to get on the phone and call anybody. And so it's time for us to evolve. And so things like online scheduling, two-way text messaging, automatic lead follow-up via AI and leveraging ChatGPT and other AI models and making sure that we are being authentic, we're providing video content, answering questions. We are really staying on the cutting edge of technology is going to give us a tremendous leg up, especially as we start to age down, thinking about who is now getting into the home ownership position. So being millennials, right? We're going to set clear goals on this session. So what are your goals for 2025? And this is somewhat rhetorical, but I really want you to take a second and think about what your goals are. When I think of goals, generally speaking, I'm thinking of them in a run rate, a monetary position. But those goals may be different for you. You may have 2 crews and you want to get to 3 by the end of 2025. But if I'm thinking about this, I want to figure out, okay, how much revenue does my business need to take on uh, in 2025 in order to hit this goal, right? If we don't have goals, it can often feel like we are sort of out in the sea, right? Just like on a sailboat waiting for some gust of wind to come along. And we don't really know when the next job is going to come in that's really going to propel us, right? Like we've got these visions of what we want to happen, but without setting goals and having an action plan, we're kind of waiting for the next thing to happen for us. Where we have clear goals, it really puts wind in our sails and we can measure where we're at and make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable to hit those goals. So let's take a second and figure out, preferably you're writing this down, but at the worst case scenario, let's take a second and really think about where are we at? What is our current snapshot? So how much revenue are we making monthly right now? Approximately how many jobs, what's the average number of jobs that we're running? And then on those jobs, what is the average ticket? So are we doing mainly trimmings? Are we doing mainly removals, stump grinding? What's the main thing that we're really doing right now? And what is the average handshake worth at the end of the day? And what is the conversion in the field? Meaning, I get a lead, I go run that lead, I provide the estimate. How many of those customers are actually saying yes, signing contracts, and getting the work done? As opposed to how many I don't hear from again. Maybe I don't have an automated follow-up process with them yet. What does that conversion rate look like? And then how many crews are we currently running? When we think about goals, we want to set aside a number that is our annual revenue and how many crews. And most importantly, I'm gonna take a time. I'm gonna take some time here. Most importantly, is why do I want to hit that goal, right? Now, it's common. I mean, I'm in the I can be in the same boat where it's common for us as business owners, entrepreneurs, to want to grow our business. But sometimes we're just growing it arbitrarily and we don't really know why we're growing it. And if we're doing that, we have to be mindful that with all this extra revenue comes extra customers, comes extra relationships, comes extra stress on the equipment, comes extra stress on your staff, on yourself, right? And so there has to be a trade-off. And so if there's no real good reason for me to grow, then am I just growing because I'm trying to prove something to myself or somebody else? And so I truly do want you to take a second and ask yourself, what is your reason for growth? And by the way, it's okay for that reason to be materialistic, right? Like it is okay for me to say I want a bigger house or I want to provide a better quality of life for my family. Like those things are fine, but we have to be mindful of what the reason is why we want to grow the business, right? Um, and so if we've got a good reason why we want to grow, that helps us to kind of figure out how big do we need to grow this business. And that can help us set our 2025 goal for our annual revenue and the number of crews that we're going to need to maintain that. So we do have a handy dandy little sheet that I'm going to share with everybody. Let me pull it up over here on my other screen. Now that I've realized that I've been not sharing properly. So let's go ahead and pause this here. And I just want to drop it into the chat so that you guys, if you're in front of computers, can play along at home, we'll call it. So let's see. All right. Escape. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And it is getting warm here in Florida, finally. Now, if we would have started at the normal time, I would have had all of this ready to go, I promise. But because we're starting early, uh, it's been a little bit wonky here. All right, here we go. Found it finally. It's buried. Share over here. Okay. Phil, can you see a spreadsheet?
No,
No. Oh, maybe if I hit the resume button. How about now, Phil? Can you see us?
there you go.
All
Beautiful.
right. My first day with Zoom, apparently.
Are you going to put a spreadsheet into the chat?
Yep.
Is that what you're planning? It's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to do that right now so they can play along with. Go ahead and just make a copy of this. We're going to switch this to view, copy, and in the Zoom chat, I'll drop it here. So, like I said, this is a workshop session. So, you'll want to make a copy and have your own version. But essentially, all of the fields that have color in them, they are going to be populated dynamically based on the other fields that you're putting in. And so, if we say, okay, what is my annual revenue goal? What's my target for 2025? Let's say that I'm at $1 million in annual revenue, and I really want to get to 1.5. That's the example that we have laid out here. That means in order to do that, my monthly revenue target is going to be $125,000 a month. Pretty easy math. Next, I can figure out what's my average ticket value. Now, you may say, hey, we do mainly removals, right? We don't do a whole heck of a lot of trimming, but we can figure out sort of what our average is. So you may need to bump this up a little bit to say, hey, my average job is 800. It maybe if all you do is big jobs, it might even be 1500, right? But you can play with this number. For the purposes of today, we're going to go ahead and change that to 800. And this will tell you how many service calls it's going to take you to hit your monthly goal if you have $800 per each call, right? So that means that if I want to do 125K each month, I need to be doing 156 jobs each month, right? The second step of this is, okay, well, how many leads do I need? How many phone calls, how many forms do I need to hit this number of 156 service calls? And so the only real piece of information that we need there is what is my conversion rate? Now, you may not be tracking this right now extremely reliably or in a manner that is going to give you a specific number, but a roundabout estimate will do. If you know that you're going to do, hey, out of every other phone call, we get a job, or maybe 1 out of 3, we get a job, that will tell me what this percentage is. So we'll go ahead and say for the today's example that you're at a 45% conversion. This will tell you how many leads you're going to need to hit that number of 156 service calls. So we're going to need 347 leads per month to hit that number. Next, you can figure out what is your average cost per generated lead. Now, this is going to change depending on your location, right? The time of the year, as well as the job type. A trimming lead costs less than a removal lead. But you can figure out a good safe average. Generally, what we see is somewhere around 50 to 75, maybe 100. Between 50 and 100 is a pretty safe estimate for what a lead costs in our industry. And that will give you your monthly budget required to hit target. Now, one thing to call out here, because that number is a big one. One thing to call out is that this is if you were paying $75 for each and every lead. Now, many of our clients have a mixture of leads coming in. Some are from pay-per-click advertising, some are from Google local service ads, some they're buying from other lead providers. But some are things that they've already invested in, like search engine optimization. Some are from things that they've invested in, like word of mouth advertising. So, if I want to hit this 1.5, I need to be realistic and honest with myself and saying, hey, I'm getting about 5 or 10, 15, 20 jobs a month out of the gate, free, quote unquote, free, because of word of mouth advertising and things that I'm not actively paying for. And I can adjust these numbers a little bit to accommodate for that. But if I'm not getting that in and I'm really trying to be aggressive, then this is what it's going to cost me to get the lead flow in to get to the number that I really want to get to for my annual target. Now, if you're not at 1 million and you want to, maybe you're at 500K and you want to get to 1 million, all these numbers you can play around with on the calculator and it will tell you exactly what you need to do. So, in a nutshell, that is the lead generation target planner for you guys. Whew. I don't know if I've had too much coffee or not enough, but I want to take a second and check the chat, make sure we don't have any questions. Uh, Also invite you guys to come off mute if you do have questions, since this is a small session. And if not, we will go ahead and keep this thing rolling here. Checking the chat. I'm checking the chat. All right, so we'll go ahead and pick up where we left off. Share this guy. All right. Can we see the PowerPoint?
Yes, we can.
All right, we're in there. One day I'm gonna get used to this MacBook. I just switched to Mac from Windows about 3 months ago, and the multiple windows thing is still throwing me because there's an invisible window that I can't see yet. So, all right. So hopefully at this point, everybody has what their goals are for 2025, and they have a loose idea of how many leads it's going to take monthly to get you there. Now, the next thing that we're going to break down is what your marketing strategy looks like. Now, this is going to fill out this little diagram here, but you're going to see where we're going. This is what I call the accelerated growth model. You can rely on word of mouth advertising, and you can just do a great job and get positive reviews, and you can grow your business. At some point, that growth may not be fast enough. And that's when you really want to put on the gas pedal. And that's when we introduce the accelerated growth model. The main thing you want to focus on out of the gate for the accelerated growth model is driving leads. After that, we will maximize the conversion, right? And then we'll optimize the result. So there's several different ways that we can do this. We talked about this earlier with organic SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, if you're not familiar. And this talks about different things like reviews and how well your website is laid out, how many backlinks are pointing to your site, how fast your website is, but it is absolutely built around your website and the quality of the content that is on your website. Are you posting blogs? There's a bunch that goes into SEO. We could spend probably 45 minutes just talking about that. But it is one component of how you can drive leads to your business. Here is some, not even all, but these are some of the things that go into search engine optimization. We can get real nerdy and talk about making sure that your titles on all of your pages are optimized for the keywords. Meaning, oftentimes we'll jump into a business and we'll see that you hit their homepage and it's like, welcome to Justin's Tree Service. We're the best, the baddest, and we do all the things tree related, or they have their slogan or whatever right there prominently on their website. The businesses that understand SEO are going to have things like tree removal, best tree trimming, #1 rated tree removal company, because those are the things that more closely align to the keywords that people are looking at when they're searching for your business on Google. The other thing that we'll see is that a lot of the website pages are copy and pasted, right? If you have location pages on your website, which you should, but if you have location pages for the areas that you serve, not just one, you don't just want one location page that says areas we serve and you list out, I'll use our area because I'm familiar, Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, Port Orange. You don't necessarily want to do it like that. You want to have a page for Daytona, a page for Holly Hill, a page for Port Orange, and then unique content. So don't just copy and paste the same content from one page to the next, but it should be unique content. Because Google and the other search engines, but really we care about what Google says because that's where all the search volume is. Um, Google is going to care about things like making sure that your content is good quality, making sure that it is not repeat content, and making sure that they understand what that person is looking for. So when somebody searches tree removal Daytona, Google can very clearly see, okay, Justin's Tree Service definitely does tree removal because I saw that on their homepage. And they have a whole web page dedicated to Daytona. I know that they're in this market. I know they serve it. So those are some of the concepts that go into what happens on page for SEO. A Google Business Profile, Google My Business, whatever you prefer to call it, is sort of a subsidiary of search engine optimization. It's what we consider local SEO. But this is all about your map pack. How do you show up in Google Maps? And so the very first thing you need to do is make sure that you have a Google business listing. So claim and optimize all of your map locations. And then add those URLs to Yext or some other citation management platform so that you're actually juicing up your business profile and getting links to your business profile. You'll want to add it to the major data aggregators, Data Axle being one of them, right? Even if you just put it on one, it's going to do you a better service. We're getting a little bit into the weeds here, but I want you to understand that some of your competitors are doing this, but many of them are not. And if you start doing these things, you will get a competitive advantage. Um, One of the most important things is putting a system in place for driving online reviews. I think we all know in 2025 that online reviews are important. We can all agree to that. What we have not figured out yet collectively is how to make them happen automatically, right? Some of us have, but that is going to be a huge, if we spend a week figuring out how to make it to where when I take payment from a customer, I have a really strong mechanism in place to get online reviews, 5-star reviews to my Google business profile on a regular basis without me having to ask for them manually, I will see some growth. And that growth is very, very low cost, right? Even if you incentivize your staff, maybe pay them a spiff, 20 bucks, 30 bucks to get an online review with their name in it. Even if you incentivize your staff to do it, it is still an extremely low cost way to get 5-star reviews. And make sure that you're adding to a new citation and updating your business profile on a regular basis. You can post to your Google business profile almost like a social media platform. So you can, say, hey, we're going to be out in this area today. We have 10% off right now. Or you can just put out, regular content that you would put out on social media right on your Google business profile. Uh, while we're on the topic of content, make sure that you're also leveraging your website to be updating blog posts. Um, Blog posting can be extremely powerful, but it has to be done regularly. You can't just blast 30 blog posts onto your page that you spun up in ChatGPT one night and expect it to have a lasting result. You might see a spike, but you really, really need to have it built into a weekly or bi-weekly cadence where you're adding 4, 5, 6, 8 blog posts a month to your website. And they should be about things that are actually beneficial to your target audience, right? Understand who your customer is. Don't just make a blog post for the sake of making it. Try to figure out what would a homeowner, or if you're doing a lot of commercial, what would the person in the position that I'm trying to reach really care about, and make blog post content that's relevant to them. So all of those things are going to essentially tell Google and the world that you know what you're doing, right? You are a thought leader in your industry. It's building your authority, and people will start to trust you. And last but not least, this one thing I want to call out here, this multiple map embeds actually embed a Google map onto your website just to make it easier for the search engines to know where you are. So, a lot covered on the SEO side. But with that being said, I do want to call out that SEO is not the end all be all, because what we've been noticing in the industry is that right now, for this period of time, search engine optimization is offering about a 65% decline of what it had been previously, right? Um, that's pretty significant, right? Because this attention is going somewhere. Google is doing a pretty good job of making sure that Google gets money. And so, if you were to type into your search bar, tree removal near me, you're going to have to scroll down in order to start to see some SEO results. At the top of the page nowadays, you've got Google local service ads. Below that, you've got your Google pay per click, right? So these are all advertising channels. Then you get into your map and you have sponsored listings in the map from a Google Performance Max campaign. So all of those positions, the whole top of the scroll is paid for, right? It wasn't like that a year ago, 2 years ago. This is a somewhat new phenomenon. So this is where you're seeing advertisers coming on and saying that, hey, SEO is dead, SEO is dead. I predict that it will have a major comeback as AI starts to take over the search results because that's going to lead people out of Google. All right, that was SEO in a nutshell. I'm going to take a moment here and take a sip of my coffee. Checking the chat for questions. Looks like we're clear. All right, so let's move on to paid search, your strategy for paid search. Now, I like to think of our marketing strategy. It has to be holistic. Oftentimes, we will have a business that wants to focus on one or two things. They say, hey, I really want to get my Google Ads up and running. And I think that that's going to be the thing that is going to drive the results. The reality is while yes, you can get some leads coming in from Google Ads, I'll give you a great example. Let's say you ran a Google Ads campaign and you threw $10,000 at Google. You got a few calls out of it, and maybe you even made some money, right? Like you made a positive ROI. But for those 10 calls, there were 100 people that visited your site and did not call you, right? So you lost touch communication with that other 100 people automatically. It was a waste of a click. You paid for it. They went to your site and you lost them. A holistic marketing approach would say, I'm going to run a Google ad campaign. And for those people that go to my website and they check me out and they figure, man, this guy's got too nice of equipment. Maybe I can't afford him, right? Or whatever their thought process is. They bounce off of your website and they're gone off into the abyss. I'm now going to retarget them with a Facebook campaign because I've installed a Facebook pixel on my website. So now for the next 30 days, since they came to my site, they engaged with the Google ad, I spent money to get them there. I'm going to follow them around the internet. Sure, I'm going to spend some more money to do that on Facebook, Meta. You can do it on TikTok or whatever if you're partial. We generally see Facebook as the easiest and most cost effective to work with. But I'm going to follow them around the internet for a little while, right? Maybe they just weren't in a buying move. Maybe it was 2 o'clock in the morning when they saw my ad, right? And they knew that I wasn't going to be open. If it's not in front of me as a consumer in 2025, there are so many things competing for my attention. I am not very likely to remember it. I've got a bunch of different things that I need to do that because they're not right in front of me, I'm not thinking about it. So put your ad back up in front of people, right? So that's what a more holistic marketing approach would look like is, okay, well, now they've been to my site. Now I have got in front of them on Facebook, maybe with a web form so that I can get their name, email address, and phone number to put into my first party data, which is my actual database that I can then send an email message out to with some incentives if they don't convert. Now I'm hitting that same person on all these different channels. Eventually they will convert, or they'll tell you to pound sand and they weren't a good a good prospect anyway. So it really is about understanding your retargeting strategies, your branding strategies, and what's happening automatically. You're not manually doing this. You're setting it up and then everything starts to run. That will drive down the cost of how much you're spending on advertising. The reason that most pay-per-click campaigns fail is business owners will create one Facebook ad campaign, one Google ad campaign. They will just make one campaign. They'll have one set of ads, one set of creative, and they will loop everything in together. I'm talking they'll have removals and emergency trimming, stump grinding, and general name and brand all in the same exact ad campaign. They won't use specific text ads or landing pages for a group of keywords. Worst of all, we've seen an ad campaign just drive people to the homepage of the website. Your homepage of your website and a landing page are two different, completely different things. A landing page should be a very specific page on your website that its whole purpose in life is to speak to the messaging that that person clicked on from Google. So if your ad says, we are the best tree removal company in X county, right? When they click through, because that message resonated, when they click through, your landing page should say the best tree removal company in X county. It should say the same, almost the same exact thing, or at least speak to the reason they clicked through. If they clicked through because you were offering a 10% discount, or you were offering some monetary offer, then your landing page should have that information on it as well. Which leads me to the next one, which is your website doesn't have a strong call to action or an offer on the landing page. Like, why should they convert right now? Again, we've spent money to get them here. So since we've already deposited money into Google's account to get them to put eyeballs on your site, let's go ahead and come out of the gate as aggressively as we can because we have not submitted a quote to these people yet, right? Now, I'm not saying price gouge, but what I am saying is if I know that somebody converted because they got a 10% discount, that might factor into the price. I'll be less likely to give them a further discount if that comes up in conversation. That's paid search in a nutshell. Now let's talk about your database. Now, I mentioned sending out those emails, right? This should be happening automatic. I mean, certainly you can if you don't have the mechanisms in place or you're smaller, you can start to activate a database. But this is what you're going to hear people refer to as first party data. These are my customers. Many of the times that we've worked with tree businesses, they're maybe even doing paper contracts. The problem with paper contracts is you don't have an actionable database that you can do anything with, aside from maybe have somebody run through them and just pick up the phone and dial for dollars. But you really want to have a strong database of A, customers that you have done business with, and B, potential customers that you haven't done business with that you can market to. One of the examples is you can send out text messages to these individuals saying, hey, spring's here. Maybe we haven't worked with John in the past 6 months. And I know that we did some trimming and I know that those palms are due for a trim again, right? I can send out automatic text messaging, setting up automation and leveraging AI to send out this messaging. And all John has to do is reply yes. And when he replies yes, we'll go ahead and give him a link to book online, or we can give him a phone number, pick up the phone and call. But absolutely going back to what we talked about previously, I want to meet the consumer where they are. So my main goal would be to set up an ability for them to schedule a consultation right on your website. So let's take a pause, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to rate ourselves. If we were in person, I'd give you a highlighter and tell you to do a red, green, and yellow. But we're going to talk about driving leads. And I want you guys to think about how you're personally doing. Take a snapshot right now of how are we doing with driving leads from these channels, organic, paid, and a database. You can do it in one, two, three. You can do it red, green, or yellow. If you're getting organic SEO leads coming in out the wazoo, you'd call that green. If you're doing well with your paid advertising and you're able to sustain your business with nothing but ads, we'll call that green. If you're not using a database or doing any email marketing right now or SMS marketing, we're going to call that red. All right. Cool. So we talked about SEO. We are going to talk about your website now. There's 12 main elements. I know there's a ton of text on this slide. I'm going to try to simplify this as much as possible. But you want to speak, and this is not just your website, but this is all of your marketing, your social media, everywhere. You want to speak to your target avatar. Oftentimes when I see business, one of the reasons I love our industry is it's kind of like there's this sense of this edginess, like it's kind of a badass to be a tree person, like if I'm being honest, right? And that's sort of what I was drawn to. But we have a tendency, and I know that we can all either think of ourselves or some of our friends in the industry that is the messaging that goes into our brand, right? Like it's all, it's the badass saws on the side of the truck and we're cutting everything down. And maybe that doesn't resonate with 82-year-old Helga up the street who has 18 cats and likes to crochet in her spare time, right? Like maybe tree monsters with your guys slamming energy drinks, whatever, right? Like maybe that is a contrast, right? I know I'm speaking in stereotypes, but I'm trying to drive home the point of if we understand our target avatar, if we understand who are the people that are actually keeping our business afloat, what does that homeowner look like? What does that business owner look like? Then we can start to understand what's important to them. What are their fears? What are their frustrations? Why should they choose your company? Maybe if it's a business owner, they want somebody that's going to be able to go out in the parking lot, handle the trees, Send them an email, digital proposal, make it easy peasy because I don't have time to deal with it. Then, if that's your target audience, all of a sudden your messaging becomes about how simple your process is, how clean you're going to be able to make it, how professional your crew looks. Because if people are showing up to the business, you don't want to look unprofessional, right? Those are the fears and concerns that a business owner is going to have, right? Versus the little old lady down the street might have a completely separate set of concerns. So you have to understand this, and it should go into your marketing and your messaging on your website. However, you have to be real. Use real pictures of yourself. People can tell what's AI images at this stage of the game. Maybe next year that won't be the case, but people know what an AI image looks like, and people know what stock images look like. If you have the super happiest guy and he's got all the OSHA required equipment and he's wearing a hard hat, he might be a plant, right? That might not actually be your real crew. So take pictures of your crew, take pics, invest some time, or even hire a photographer to come out and take pictures and images and videos of you guys doing your thing. So use those images and those videos in different elements. You can use them on your website, you can use them on social media, you can use those images everywhere. Leverage your social proof. So if you've got a job well done, you've got positive 5-star reviews, throw those on your website. If you're getting reviews through the Better Business Bureau, put those on your website. Get the links to your from the Better Business Bureau to your website. All of those things, when I hit your website, I should be able to tell essentially if you're going to be good for me. And I should be able to tell that, man, these guys know what they're doing because they have all these credentials and they have all of this social proof to back them up. Um, there are some basics that you want to have on your website. It should be very easy for somebody to call you. In this stage of the game, we sort of expect to see a phone number or a click to call button in the top right hand side of the screen on every single website that we go to. On a landing page, even a home page, I want there to be a web form that customers can fill out. They can put their name, email address, and phone number. Maybe they can select the service they're looking for if you want to take that extra step. You can get things like Angie's List, the TCIA certification if you have that, the Better Business Bureau, all listed on your website to make sure that you're telling your customers that, hey, we operate with integrity, we take our work seriously, and here are our sources, right? Make sure you have some clear calls to action on each page that are talking to your customer avatar and tell them what to do next. It should be very clear on if you want us to work with you, then do X, Y, or Z. You also want to be able to use, we talked already about incentives and promotions that match the service that they're looking for. And make sure that your website is mobile optimized. I think the rest of this we've already covered in one shape or form or another, and I want to make sure that we move. But I do want to call out, because it's on all caps here, that site speed matters. So if you did build your own site, kudos and congratulations. That's awesome. And I think that's really cool. Make sure that it passes all of the Google Page Speed Insight tests, because if it does not pass those tests, it is severely going to impact your search engine optimization and your rankings. I will drop the link to Google Page Speed Insights in the chat so that you can run that test yourself. Awesome. Cool. So is your website set up to convert visitors into callers, right? So this is the same exact website, but we talked on the last screen about making sure that your website is mobile optimized. So it's the same site, but on desktop it looks like this, and on mobile it looks like this. The reason is on mobile, they have the ability to dial out. So we really want to call out this call us button. What you can't see on this because it's a screenshot is that this actually sort of vibrates up and down. It really tries to get their attention because they really want them to call. We also have a call button down here at the bottom right, and right here on the home page, we even have a get a quote form. When they fill this out, we send an automatic text message to that customer, letting them know that we have received their request for a quote because we want to make sure that we're giving the business owner some lead time. So all this is happening automatically with automation. We also make sure that they agree to the terms and conditions. So you want to have a privacy policy on your page as well. And that is required A, to help you with SEO, but B, you'll need it if you want to actually send text messages with automation. So make sure that you're creating a privacy policy page. We'll skip this here and we'll skip this here. we're going to talk about leveraging video and multimedia. So if you do have videos, oftentimes what I'll see is that businesses, they'll throw them on their Facebook page, maybe throw them on their Instagram, their TikTok, right? But they're not actually sending them to whoever's managing their website to get them put up on their website. Put them there as well. Not only if it's a YouTube link, not only does Google reward you because who owns YouTube? Google. YouTube will reward you from SEO, from using YouTube videos on your website, but also it gets your customers engaged with your business before they even call you and work with you. What does that do? Well, if they see a video of you, if they see your content and they see that, hey, this is a nice new machine, it's very clean, they're taking good care of this home, they're doing work in a looks like a pretty affluent neighborhood, they obviously know what they're doing. This is going to give me a leg up when I get on the phone. They're already in a position to buy. They're already pre-positioned. They know the value. They see, they trust you. And so every time that I have the opportunity to put multimedia on a website, I absolutely want to use that. Also, showcase your social proof. So put your reviews up on your website. And then, of course, make it really easy. Like we said, send a message and we will get back to you soon. We want that to be very clear on what we want that customer to do. Notice that these guys also have the phone number up in the top right-hand side of the screen, right next to a get a free estimate call to action. So this whole website is designed to do nothing else but showcase our value and convert people, right? Cool. So we talked about the website. Next, we're going to talk about reputation. You'll notice, and like I said, I live in South Daytona, Florida, so I just took a screenshot of the businesses that are near me that are ranking. I want to call out, this is right from Google Maps. I want to call out the order of what's going on here, that the first couple are ads, right? But if you look at, okay, there's 453 reviews for SB, and they're a 4.7, and they came up first, but Action Tree Care has a 5.0, a perfect score, but they only have 261. Now, Google weights these different scores based on, well, it's sort of, nobody really knows what Google does, but what I can tell you is that the more reviews you have, at some point, it outranks the actual score. I don't know exactly what that math looks like, but the moral of the story is you need as many and as high quality of reviews as humanly possible. You also want to do things like make sure that your messages are enabled, because if you'll notice, Tree Work Now has a 4.9 with 590 reviews, but they do not have the message turned on, so they're actually showing up below. There may be other factors in here, like maybe SB Tree Service and Action Tree Care have a better SEO optimized website than Tree Work Now does. Maybe they have a different opening hours. Like there's a bunch of other things that go into this, but on its surface, if I just looked at reviews and making sure that I'm using all the features that Google has to offer, I can get an edge on the competition. And Action Tree Care is actually showing above people that have more reviews than they do because they're taking advantage of things like the messaging. So social proof, and reputation is everything.
And one thing too is the frequency of reviews. You know, you could be a new business. Hi everyone. You could be a new business, and with the digital landscape, you have a chance to compete with some of the big dogs because as a new business, if your frequency of reviews is pretty steady along with some of the other big guys in the map pack, um, that will allow you to continue to be, that helps your position, right? So it's not always the amount of reviews. You could have people, and there isn't, Google doesn't tell any marketing agency what the secret sauce is because that would be, they wouldn't do that. But if you can get the frequency is important just as much as the total amount.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a great call out, Phil. I appreciate that. And it goes back to speaking to how important it is to set up an automatic system that is making this happen for you, right? So that way you're not having to manually ask for these reviews every single time. All right. So, problem is 50 to 90% of inbound traffic leaves without converting. Sorry, 50 to 60% um, leaves without actually converting, and 90% of web forms fail to convert. It's why, business owners generally don't like web forms because they don't seem to convert. Well, the solution or the reason is that oftentimes it's because leads aren't followed up within 15 minutes. So when I say lead, oftentimes the businesses that we've worked with or are working with think that I mean inbound phone calls, right? But leads are also missed calls. Because we track every phone call that comes in for one of our clients because we understand that people are busy, especially owning businesses. If they're not at the place where they have an actual team that's dedicated to answering these calls, then it's very common for it to go to the owner's phone or the closer's phone who might be in front of a customer. And if that phone call doesn't get answered, now all of a sudden you have to get that person back on the phone. And there's another percentage there, right? If they called in and I call them back and they don't answer, that happens 20 to 30% of the time. Now I'm subjecting my lead to another conversion rate. I say all that to say it's super important to make sure that we have a process to where we can answer these calls. B, it's important to make sure that we are tracking the missed calls and knowing A, where they came from and who those people were. And then B, we have to have an automated process to follow up with these leads automatically. So you'll see that for our clients and what we recommend everybody do is set up some sort of automated follow-up process. Now, we use a CRM system for that. Depending on the CRM that you're using, whether it be Jobber or House Call Pro, they probably have something that you can utilize there. But when somebody submits a form on your site, instead of it just going and sitting in your email and you not seeing it until 2 days later, an email needs to go out back to that customer saying, setting expectations. Hey, we're going to give you a call back within this amount of time. And if something urgent comes up or you need a quote right now, give us a call at this number, right? That will help your conversion of those web forms and those leads that are coming in significantly. And the average customer needs to be followed up with 5 to 7 times before they book. It's just the facts of business and marketing. And again, today's customer doesn't really want to get on the phone as much as they used to. They prefer text messages. So make sure that your business is set up to send those text messages. So leverage those marketing automations, automate the follow-up so that every prospect is touched 5 times and able to engage with two-way text messaging. All right. We're going to take another quick moment to rate ourselves, right? This is the workbook session. This is the working session, is uh, thinking about our website and how well are we doing with maximizing conversion? How is our website doing? How are we doing on our reputation, like our Google business, all the different review platforms out there? And are we leveraging automation? We're going to take a moment and we're going to mentally rate ourselves. Green, yellow, red. Red means I'm just not doing it at all. Maybe I don't have a website. I'm not using any automation. I haven't really ever looked at my Google business profile. Yellow means I have these things, but I definitely need to improve them. And green means I'm knocking them out of the park. All right. Hopefully you've got your ratings there. So now we're going to talk about spend, right? And this is the part that gets a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my other screen here. But we're going to go desktop 3. No, no, let's go. Nope, wrong one. We're going to go desktop 2. Hey, Phil, do we see a spreadsheet?
Yes, we do.
All
Marketing
right.
budget planner.
There we go. All right, we're getting better.
Love
Okay,
it.
so our annual projected, this is a pretty big spreadsheet, and this is included in the first link that I sent out. All you need to do is just switch the tab over here. But you have basically a calculator in here as well. So if you have your annual projected revenue, so let's say that I want to do 1.5 million in 2025. Then I need to figure out what kind of marketing budget do I want to apply. Basically, the rule of thumb is 6% is a typical marketing budget. If you're 10 to 12%, it's aggressive. 3% would be like bare minimum. I want to stay where I'm at. So if you're at the place where you don't necessarily want to grow, you just want to continue to keep the lights on, you can change this percentage to 3%. and everything else here is going to update, right? It means that if I just want to stay where I am, then I should be spending $45,000 this year on marketing. It'll break it down for me to $37.50 per month is what I should be spending on marketing. However, if I want to grow, which if you're on this call, I'm going to assume that you probably do, we'll switch that to 6%. That's like the low end of growth, right? This is saying now I need to spend $90,000 a year on marketing, and that average budget is $7,500 per month. Below that, we have our allocations to online marketing, offline marketing, and repeat business. When we say repeat business, this might be things like birthday gift certificates, or it might be things like gifts to commercial contracts that you've received in the past to stay top of mind to these people. Anything that you're spending on text messaging or direct mail to people that have done business with you in the past. That's your repeat business, and you absolutely want to invest there. Uh, Offline marketing, as a digital marketing agency, I have my own personal opinions about this, but if you believe that billboards are the way, then you can figure out what percentage you should be spending there, and it will tell you. This is generally uh, what we would recommend is 80% should go towards online, maybe 10% go to offline, and 10% go to repeat business. And this gives you a pretty good foundation of how much I should be spending in each place. Now, if you are seasonal, we're kind of fortunate down here in Florida because we can operate most of the year. There's not a huge change, but I know some of our northern customers, they have a pretty dramatic seasonality. So you can actually adjust these percentages based on the month to make sure that you're coming out to 100%, and it will tell you how much you should be spending on your marketing each one of those months, right? For both online, offline, and repeat business. So this is going to tell you that all things equal, I should be spending $6,000 a month on my online marketing. I should be spending $750 a month on my offline marketing and $750 a month on my repeat business if I want to spend 6% of my total projected revenue of 1.5. So this spreadsheet is going to help you to set up, and this is something that you can do while we're on the call. If you've already made a copy of it, I'll drop a link back in there just in case. And if you're watching the replay, there will be a link included in the video as well. Oops, I need this link instead. Go copy, boop, boop, boop. Once you open this spreadsheet up, you're going to get view only access. You'll just need to go file and make a copy, and then you can call it whatever you want. All right. Now, below that, we actually also give you of your online marketing allocation, how much do you want to spend on SEO? How much did you spend on PPC, LSA? PPC is your pay-per-click, so your Google advertising. And then how much did you spend on your display and retargeting? This is like we were talking about earlier with your Facebook ads or your display ads from Google, retargeting people that came to your site but didn't convert. So this is sort of our recommended breakdown would be 35% on SEO, 55% on PPC, but you can go a little heavier. Based on what we've been seeing lately, I might even be inclined to lower the SEO to 25% and add that 10% to the PPC LSA just because we're seeing that SEO is declining well, at least at this stage of the game. I predict that it's going to be better in 6, 8 months from now. But if I'm setting this up for 2025, I'd probably want to lower that a little bit and invest more into PPC LSA or retargeting and display ads. And again, I can also adjust that by month based on seasonality. If I know that most business comes in June, July, then I can allocate more. I can allocate more money to those months. All right. So I'm going to.
And of course, that could change. Some clients will be running social, right? Some could be doing, really, I guess social. We could add a box there. It really depends on every business, but the reason why we did the SEO and PPC is because this is the bottom of the funnel. They're searching for your services, right? Not maybe we're going to serve them a Facebook ad and maybe they could be interested. So that's why we started there, just in case you had questions.
Yeah, good call out. Good call out. All right. So I came across this phrase. To be honest, I have no idea who Lord Leverhulme is. I'm not even sure if it's a real person, but the phrase I certainly found interesting. It says, half my advertising spend is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. So one of the things that we do, and we certainly recommend that folks do, is find some sort of a call tracking platform. There's a few out there. One of them is What Converts. Obviously, we have our own that we use for our clients, but there it's called call tracking, and there's a couple of different ways to do it. One is you can create like you can actually create a new phone number. All these phone numbers route to your main business phone number. Back in the day, it was when I was growing up, we memorized Pizza Hut's phone number, right? And so Pizza Hut's job was to make sure that their phone number was everywhere and as many people knew the phone number as humanly possible. In 2025, I don't think I don't know my daughter's phone number. I don't even know my wife's phone number. It's on my phone, right? And so the reality is that phone numbers are not as important as they used to be. It is a means of connecting from the channel of communication to your actual phone to get it from ringing. So I say all that to say that we use tracking numbers. So if I am sending out a piece of direct mail, I want a very specific phone number on that piece of direct mail. That way, when somebody calls it, I can look in my system and I can say, okay, I had this many conversions came from direct mail. The same is true for anything that I'm doing that's offline, but also online. Most of these call tracking platforms will give you a code, a piece of JavaScript that you can install on your website. It's not hard. They give you the code. You just go into the header of your site and you paste it. And what it does is it shows a different phone number for a visitor depending on if they came from a pay-per-click advertising or if they came from an organic SEO. So if they just found your website on SEO, it's going to show phone number A. If it came from pay-per-click, it'll show phone number B. That will allow you to figure out where this customer came from. So in your platform, Jobber, House Call Pro, whatever you're using to figure out your dollars and cents and invoice customers, you can tie that back to ROI. And you can say, okay, I know that I spent $3,000 this month on LSA and $4,000 this month on SEO. What was my return? Oh, I had, $10,000 in revenue came in on the PPC channel. That's good. I'm happy with that ROI, but I didn't really get a huge ROI on SEO. And that's how you can adjust your marketing budgets based on where the actual traffic is coming from, as opposed to just throwing money out there and hoping that something's coming back. So, absolutely leverage tracking numbers to help you with your reporting. All right, it is stop and go time again. We're going to red light, green light, red light, yellow light, green light on our optimize for ROI. So we're going to talk about, we're going to think about, do we understand our total spend? Have we ever taken the time to consider what our total spend is for marketing? Is that red, yellow, or green? Do we understand our average cost per lead? And do we feel like we're allocating enough money for that average cost per lead? That's red, yellow, green. And are we doing any tracking on ROI? Meaning, am I looking at how much revenue was generated per channel and contrasting that to how much I have spent in advertising for that specific channel? Am I doing that at all right now? Red, yellow, green. All right. So the key takeaways is I really want you all to think about what are the things that I really need to focus on the absolute most based on what we're hearing in this session, and what is the lowest hanging fruit. We're covering a lot of ground here today. Potentially, you might have a lot of homework to do. Don't get overwhelmed by everything that you have to do. Latch on to the easiest thing that's going to make the biggest impact. If you don't do everything, right? Like we were talking about H1 meta tags on your website, we can making sure that your servers are fast enough. We talked about a lot of stuff. But if you're not tracking ROI and you're spending money on Google Ads, let's start there. Like that's pretty simple, pretty easy. We can knock that out in just a couple of days to get it set up. So let's think about what are the key things that I can take away? What are the lowest hanging fruits that will really drive some positive results in my business? Maybe I'm not investing into marketing at all. Maybe I'm just relying on word of mouth. it might be time to think about getting started with spending some money on Google Ads, as well as Google LSA, right? So plan your focus. If you do want to have a one-on-one strategy session, you can drop "Let's talk" in the comments, and my team and I will be happy to look at your specific situation and give you a recommendation on what we would do if we were in your shoes to help drive and help you hit your goals for 2025. And to be candid, we'll be doing a lot of the things that we talked about in today's presentation. So. We are offering, like I said, that free online marketing plan review. Here's our phone number, 866-442-8009. You can book a time with us for that one-on-one review by just going to arboristmarketingpros.com/schedule. I'm feeling real foreign today, so I'm going to say schedule instead of schedule. And we'll be happy to jump in one-on-one with you. What we're going to do is take an analysis of your online visibility. We'll look at your social media. We'll look at your Google Ads. We'll look at your SEO. We'll give you a nice grid ranking report. We'll look at the keyword list that we think is going to be most important to you in your area and what the people are actually searching for in your area. We'll give you a ranking report showing you for those keywords, if somebody looks at tree removal in your city, where do you rank on Google? And we'll look at analysis of your online directories, all those citation sites that we talked about, your online reviews, your reputation, and what we would do there, and your social media presence, as well as your website conversion effectiveness. So all that at no cost. All right. So the roadmap that we use for tree service contracts, we have 9 clear steps. And the goal here is to triple your sales, right? So if you're at 500K, we want to take these 9 steps to get you to 1.5. So we focus on organic SEO, and I'm saying that we because this is what we would recommend that you do if you're doing this yourself, if you're DIYing your marketing strategy. We focus on organic SEO, getting people to your website right from Google. When somebody types in the keywords that you're looking for, you're the one that shows up. We focus on paid advertising, so different traffic sources, pay-per-click, Google LSA. We focus on generating and nurturing your database through email marketing and SMS marketing. We help you to maximize the conversion on your website. Basically, make sure that your website is laid out in a way that is going to convert. We focus on you helping to showcase your reputation and get more online reviews from your website, and focus on automation. So making sure that the leads are being followed up with automatically, as well as making sure that you are being notified of these leads in a way that you will be able to follow up with them um, uh, systematically. And we'll help you optimize results. So making sure that we are very clear on your total spend, your average cost per lead, and your ROI. We do this with our digital dominance method. So we have, these are all the different channels that we utilize: Google local service ads, SEO, repeat, referral, marketing automation, social media. We do the pay-per-click online directories and retargeting to make sure that we're missing out or catching any missed opportunities. So take a moment and I want you to think about, write down your top action items. What are the 3 things that you're going to do in 2025 to really help you hit your goal? And maybe one of those things is actually come up with a marketing plan. Fill out the sheet, figure out how much money you should be spending on your advertising channels. All right, so in a nutshell, what we covered, this is a long one, so I appreciate everybody for bearing with us. We covered how to set clear goals and targets for the year. We wanted to realign on the key performance indicators and tracking to achieve the outcomes that we're looking for. We wanted to map out that plan for accomplishment. We wanted to talk about the budget, the channels, and the important trends, and set you up for massive success in 2025 and beyond. So on the strategy front, keep in mind and keep focused on where do you need to focus the most. Like I said, we talked about a lot of different things. Probably there's 1 or 2 that are really sticking out to you in your business. Let's really focus on those and drive those home. All right. Well, with that said, I wanted to thank you all for sticking with it. If you made it this far, I know that this was a long call and we covered a lot. And if you're like me, your brain probably hurts. But If you have any questions, you want that specific one-on-one, like I said, go ahead and go to arboristmarketingpros.com/schedule. We'd be happy to chat with you. More specifically, we'd be happy to take a look at what your current online rankings look like, what your current stats look like, and what we would do if we were in your shoes to get you to the next level. Appreciate you. Here's hoping that everybody here crushes it in 2025, and we're always here to help. Let us know. Thanks.